Picture Kevin. He's 33 years old, and he considers himself pretty good with money. He has a savings account with $11,000 in it. He pays his credit card off every month. He has no personal loans. He drives a used car he bought outright 4 years ago. By most standards, Kevin is responsible. He budgets. He does not overspend. He knows roughly what comes in and what goes out every month. What Kevin does not do is invest. He has a 401k through his employer that he contributes just enough to get the match. But outside of that, there is nothing. No brokerage account, no Roth IRA, no index funds, just the $11,000 in the savings account that has been sitting there since 2021, growing at a rate of about 0.5% per year. He knows he should probably invest. He has said so to himself approximately 40 times in the last 3 years. Next month, after the car gets paid off, once things settle down at work, after the holidays, he is not avoiding it on purpose. He just has not gotten around to it yet. Here is what Kevin does not know. Every month he does not invest, the money he has worked for loses value. Not dramatically, not in a way that shows up on a bank statement, but quietly, consistently, and permanently. And the cost of that quiet loss, compounded over the next 20 years, is not a small number. It is not a rounding error. It is the difference between two entirely different financial lives. My name is Bill, and today we're going to find out exactly what happens to your money when you never invest it. Not the motivational version, the real numbers. The specific dollar damage of a savings account, a lifestyle upgrade, and 20 years of meaning to get around to it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the thing nobody calls what it actually is: inflation. Most people understand inflation in the grocery store. Eggs cost more than they did 3 years ago. Gas is more expensive. The lunch that used to be $8 is now $14. You feel it. You notice it. You complain about it at the right moments. What most people do not understand is what inflation does to the money sitting in their savings account. Because while prices are rising out in the world, the purchasing power of every dollar in that account is quietly falling. Not the balance. The balance stays the same or grows slightly with the interest the bank pays you. But the real value, what these dollars can actually buy, erodes a little bit every single year. Here is the number. The Federal Reserve targets an inflation rate of approximately 2% per year. The actual average rate of inflation in the United States over the last decade has been closer to 3% to 4%. The interest rate on the average American savings account is currently about 0.46% annually. So Kevin's $11,000 in savings earns about $51 in interest over a full year. Meanwhile, inflation erodes approximately $330 to $440 of that money's purchasing power over the same period. He is earning $51 and losing $330. The math is not in his favor. I want you to really sit with that for a second. Kevin's savings account is not keeping his money safe. It is losing ground every single year while looking completely unchanged on the screen. The balance goes up by $51. The purchasing power goes down by $330. He opened the app and saw progress. He experienced decline. This is the inflation tax. Nobody voted for it. Nobody sends you a bill. It does not show up as a line item on your bank statement. It just quietly eats the real value of uninvested money year after year until the $11,000 that felt like financial security in 2021 is worth the equivalent of about $9,600 in 2026 purchasing power terms. Not because Kevin spent it, because he saved it in the wrong place. Now let's run the real numbers, because inflation on a static savings balance is one thing. But what I really want to show you is what happens when you take a monthly amount, money Kevin has available every month, and run it through 3 different futures side by side. The amount is $500 a month. Kevin has $500 a month available. He knows he has it. He has had it for 3 years. The question is not whether the money exists. The question is what happens to it depending on what he does with it. Future 1. Kevin invests the $500 every month in a broad market index fund, earning the historical average return of 7% after inflation. He does this for 20 years. Result, $260,000, $463. Future 2. Kevin keeps the $500 in a high-yield savings account, earning 4.5%. which is actually a generous assumption for a sustained 20-year period. But let's use it as the best-case savings scenario. Result, $189,306. Future 3. Kevin absorbs the $500 into his monthly lifestyle. A slightly nicer apartment, dining out more, the gym membership he has always wanted. The money is spent, not wasted, not recklessly, just spent. $0 in savings. But more importantly, the opportunity cost of that spending at a 7% investment return over 20 years is $260,463. That is the number that does not exist. That is the wealth that never got built. The gap between Future 1 and Future 2 is $71,157. That is the cost of the savings account over 20 years, not the cost of being irresponsible, the cost of being responsible in the wrong way. The gap between Future 1 and Future 3 is the full $260,463. That is the cost of lifestyle absorption, not the cost of being reckless, the cost of being normal in a way that feels completely fine month to month and ends up costing $250,000. And here is the version that really stings. If Kevin does this for 30 years instead of 20, the invested track reaches $566,764. The savings account track at 4.5% reaches $381,454. The lifestyle track is still zero. The gap between investing and saving over 30 years is $185,310. The gap between investing and spending is the full $566,764. That is the cost of not investing in real numbers over a realistic timeline with no heroics required. Just $500 a month pointed in the right direction.
Now let's talk about where the $500 actually goes when it is not being invested. Because Kevin is not sitting on a pile of cash doing nothing with it. The money moves. It just moves in directions that produce nothing that compounds. The first place it goes is the lifestyle upgrade cycle. Kevin got a modest raise last year, about $4,200 more annually, roughly $350 a month after taxes. Before he could think about it, that $350 quietly became a slightly more expensive apartment. He moved from $1,200 a month to $1,500 a month rent when his lease renewed. The raise disappeared. The baseline went up. The savings account did not change. At 7% over 20 years, that $350 monthly lifestyle upgrade cost him $182,324 in opportunity. He got a nicer kitchen. He lost $182,000. The second place it goes is the subscription stack. Kevin currently pays for 4 streaming services, a music platform, 2 software subscriptions he uses occasionally, a meal kit he stopped using but forgot to cancel, and a premium gym membership he uses twice a month. Total, $230 a month. Some of this is genuinely useful. Most of it is automatic. It just drafts. Nobody reviews it. At 7% over 20 years, $200 a month redirected to investments becomes $104,185. Kevin currently trades that for 2 streaming services he could easily consolidate and a gym he could replace with something cheaper. The third place it goes is food delivery. The average American spends approximately $166 a month on food delivery alone. Kevin is at $180. It is fast, it is convenient, he is tired when he gets home. Every justification is real. But $150 a month redirected from delivery fees into an investment account at 7% over 20 years becomes $78,000. That is not cutting out every delivered meal. That is cutting out half of them. Half. And the result is $78,000 in future wealth. The fourth place it goes is the car situation. Kevin drives a paid-off used car right now, but he is already thinking about replacing it. His current plan is to get something modest, around $28,000, financed over 5 years. The payment would be about $520 a month. Insurance on the new car would add another $80 a month versus his current policy. That is $600 a month in total transportation costs, versus his current $120 a month for insurance alone. The difference is $480 a month. At 7% over 20 years, that $480 monthly difference in transportation cost is $249,404. Kevin is not buying a yacht. He is buying a $28,000 car, and it will cost him $249,000 in future wealth. None of these are catastrophic decisions. That is the point. The lifestyle upgrade made sense when the lease renewed. The subscriptions are each individually defensible. The food delivery is genuinely convenient. The car is reasonable, but together they absorb every dollar that could have been building wealth. And they do it so gradually and so naturally that the money just disappears into the baseline of a slightly more comfortable life that feels exactly as financially stretched as it did before.
Here is what makes all of this harder to fix the longer Kevin waits: the compounding gap. When Kevin is 33 and has not invested, the gap between his financial life and an identical person who has been investing since 28 is not yet catastrophic. It is meaningful, but recoverable. But every year Kevin waits, the gap widens, not linearly, exponentially, because the invested portfolio is not just growing from new contributions, it is growing from the returns on the returns on the returns of everything that came before. Let me show you what this looks like with a specific example. Kevin's identical twin started investing $500 a month at 28. Kevin starts investing $500 a month at 33. Both invest until 65. Both earn 7% average annual returns. Kevin's twin, who started at 28, ends up with $1,444,969 at age 65. Kevin, who starts at 33, ends up with $998,507 at age 65. The difference is $446,462 for 5 years of delay. Kevin contributed the same monthly amount. He earned the same rate of return. He invested for 32 years versus his twin's 37 years. The 5-year gap cost him $446,000. That is $89,200 per year of delay. That is $7,433 per month of delay. Every month Kevin does not start is costing him $7,433 in future wealth. That is the compounding gap. It starts small and irreversible. And here is the part that most people never see, because most financial content stops at the scary number and does not show you the other side, the crossover point. If Kevin starts investing today at 33 and invests $500 a month at 7%, there is a specific moment in the future where his portfolio generates more in annual returns in a single year than he contributes manually in that same year. That crossover point happens at approximately year 16, when Kevin is 49. After that, the portfolio grows itself faster than he can feed it. He still contributes, but the machine outpaces him. The money makes more money than he makes. And that crossover point, that specific moment where the investment outgrows the investor, is what Kevin never reaches if he keeps waiting. Let me address the 4 reasons Kevin has given himself for not starting, because I have heard all of them, and they deserve real answers, not dismissals. The first reason is it feels too risky. The stock market goes down. People lose money. He saw what happened in 2008 and in 2020. He does not want to watch his savings disappear. Here is the honest answer. Yes, markets go down, some years dramatically, but every 20-year period in the history of the S&P 500 has produced a positive return. Every single one, including the ones that started in 2000, right before the dot-com crash, including the ones that started in 2007, right before the financial crisis. The risk of investing over a 20-year horizon in a diversified index fund is not zero, but the risk of not investing over a 20-year horizon is a guaranteed loss of purchasing power. Kevin is not choosing between risky and safe. He is choosing between 2 different kinds of risk. One of them has a historically positive outcome, the other has a guaranteed negative one. The second reason is it feels too complicated. He does not know where to start. There are too many options. He does not know if he's doing it right. Here is the honest answer. Open a Roth IRA at any major brokerage, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. Buy a total market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund with a low expense ratio. Set up an automatic monthly contribution. That is the entire plan. It takes about 30 minutes once and then runs on its own forever. The complexity that Kevin imagines exists largely in financial media, designed to make investing feel like it requires expert guidance. It does not.
It requires an account, a simple fund, and an automatic transfer. The third reason is the amount feels too small. $500 a month is not going to make him rich. What is the point of investing such a small amount when the result feels insignificant compared to what he needs for retirement?
Here's the honest answer. We already ran this number. $500 a month at 7% for 30 years is $566,764. If Kevin thinks that is insignificant, he is welcome to reconsider. And the framing of too small is backwards. The amount is not what determines the outcome. The duration does. $500 a month for 30 years beats $1,500 a month for 10 years. The time in the market matters more than the size of the monthly contribution. Starting small today beats starting big someday. The fourth reason is it is not the right time. The market is too high or too volatile, or a recession is coming, or interest rates are too uncertain. There is always a reason why now is the wrong time to start. Here is the honest answer. Nobody has ever reliably predicted short-term market movements. Not professionals, not algorithms, not the people on television who get paid to sound confident about it. The correct response to market uncertainty is not to wait for certainty. Certainty never arrives. The correct response is to invest consistently, regardless of what the market is doing, and let time do the work that timing never can.
So what does Kevin actually do this week? Not this year, not next month, this week. Monday morning, he opens a Roth IRA. Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab, any of the three works. The process takes about 15 minutes. He funds it with $50 to open it. That is the only decision he has to make today. Tuesday, he selects a single fund, a total stock market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund. One fund, low expense ratio. That is all. Wednesday, he sets up an automatic monthly transfer, whatever amount he can actually do without destabilizing his budget. If it is $500, great. If it is $200, that also works. The amount is less important than the automation, because the version of Kevin who has to manually decide to invest each month will skip months. The version who automated it in year one will not.
Thursday, he goes back to work and does not look at the account. He does not react to market swings. He lets the transfer run and the compounding begin. That is the whole plan. It is not a complicated plan. It does not require a financial advisor. It does not require a minimum balance that feels out of reach. It requires 15 minutes on Monday, a single fund choice on Tuesday, one automation setup on Wednesday, and discipline on Thursday that looks exactly like doing nothing.
Back to Kevin. He is still responsible. He still pays his bills. He still has the $11,000 in the savings account that has been growing at 0.5%, while inflation quietly erased $330 of its purchasing power this year. But here is what I want Kevin to understand before he closes this video. The $11,000 is not the number that matters. The $51 in annual interest is not the number that matters. The number that matters is the one that does not exist yet, the $260,000, or the $566,000, or the $998,000 that his future self either has or does not have, depending on what the current version of Kevin decides to do with 15 minutes on a Monday morning. Not investing is not neutral. It is a decision. It has a price. And we just spent this entire video showing you exactly what that price is in real numbers over a real timeline.
The $500 a month Kevin has been meaning to invest since 2021 has cost him somewhere between $35,000 and $50,000 in compounded opportunities so far. That number grows every single month he waits. The savings account is not saving anything. It is just holding the loss in a place that looks like progress. Monday morning, 15 minutes, one account, one fund, one automatic transfer. That is the distance between the two versions of Kevin's financial life.